Okay, I've attached the waistband, and now maybe you'll kind of understand a little bit better what I was talking about. See how I put the raw edges together, right sides together, so that when you flip the waistband part up, then it looks just like a normal waistband. I'll see it better right there. Okay, that's just an easy way to put on waistbands, especially when you're doing skirts and stuff like that. If you're going to be historically accurate, I suppose you would stitch this, just the one side on first, and then flip your waistband over, flip under a ½ inch, and then hand stitch right along the seam on the front side. So you would just stitch it real close, stitch in the ditch. That's really time consuming for us, and I really like putting waistbands on this way because we tend to take them off a lot. Okay, now you can go ahead and put on your hooks, or your snap, or whatever you're going to use in the back here. These should overlap a little bit, so maybe an inch or so according to the pattern, but that's really up to you. I would fit it at this point and then see where that comes. Now you're supposed to put the boning in now. I'm going to go ahead and stitch the overlay to cover up all the bones and stuff in the back. It's an optional piece, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. So I'm going to set that up. Alright, I sewed my overlay pieces together according to the pattern instructions. It was real easy. You know, the big folded pieces in the middle, and then the two little side pieces attach on each side. I also marked where all of my ruffles will be, and you'll kind of notice it's the same kind of issue we had before where all of a sudden they come to a V. You may want to have that V there, and then you may want to just kind of fudge in this corner a little bit right there so it's a little bit more of a curve and less of a V. Also, when I was looking at this, you can have a lot of fun with this overlay piece because it just goes right over the back. And I think that I'm going to make my ruffles black, which I think are going to be kind of funny because actually the ruffling might be something that you know, can peek out the bottom of the dress or something if you'd like it to. So I think that's going to be funny, and I'm going to go ahead and do black ruffles on this instead of white ones. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those out, and then it's a simple finish the bottom of the edge of the ruffle first, and then put the ruffle, and then gather it, and then put it onto the overlay. So finish the bottom first, and all you have to do is just roll up a ½ inch and sew real close to the edge of the fabric. You can do like a 1/4 and a 1/4 if you want, but really there's probably really no need to. Anything like this is not going to be washed very often, so I'm not really too concerned about raveling, and if you sew close to the fold, it should be fine. I'll sew it and then I'll show it to you so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, here is the ruffle, and I cut them out. To finish this bottom edge, what you can do is you can just roll in just a little bit of an edge there, it's not very much, and you can sew a stitch right along that fold there. So, I mean, you have a raw edge here, but really it's not going to get any like wear and tear, and it's probably not even going to fray off that much. Or if you want to, you can always flip it one more time and just have a really small hem, and then you would sew on this inside fold, along this inside fold, and then that would be fine. And the edges, now because we cut this selvage to selvage, they're really already finished, and you don't have anything that you need to do with them unless you're joining lengths together, and then even then you still don't have to finish that edge. It's fine the way it is. And then just go ahead and run your gathering stitch along the top. I put mine about 3/8 inch in. Now on these, you actually attach these wrong side to right side right onto your fabric. So what you can do, I mean, you can just go ahead and sew right along your gathering stitch, and this will leave a little ruffle kind of on the top. Or if you're concerned about it fraying or anything like that, and remember the ruffles are going to overlay each other, so you're not going to see any of this at all except for maybe on the very top ruffle. What you may want to do is maybe on that one lay a piece of ribbon or some sort of trim along it if it bothers you, even though it really won't be seen. It's kind of a personal preference thing, and then those edges will be less apt to fray and stuff. So the other thing is that when I was looking at the instructions, like the top tier, it says they have different lengths for the top tiers, and for each tier, depending on the size. For this extra large one, the length was, they wanted you to cut it at a 48. Well, my fabric's 45, and I don't think I'm going to try to add that 3 inches. I think it'll just be kind of a waste and kind of a pain, so I'm not going to add that. So I'm just going to go ahead and use the 45. So as you're going along and looking, kind of gauge how you want them to work out. So that's really up to you, personal preference. So, and you can have a lot of fun with this. You can use eyelet, you can use satin, would be really cool. And you know, like for the stage, the girl's going to pull the dress over her head a little bit, so these ruffles will show. And I know normally they wouldn't, but you could make all different kinds of overlays just to go on and change them out over your bustle, and that'd be kind of fun. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put the ruffles on, and then we'll see how it's turning out. Okay, here's the finished overlay. The ruffles are really, really cute. I love them. They were pretty easy to put on. If you have a ruffler, it'd probably go a lot faster, and then you could just do one big long length and just sew across, and then when you get to the other edge, cut it off and start the next one. That way you aren't trying to gather a certain length into each tier, because each tier, obviously, the length is different on each tier. So that would be a much faster way to do it than by hand. Also, I finished the top, and all I did is run a serge and then fold it over once. It's a real small, narrow hem right there. That curve is pretty tight, and so you don't want to try to take too deep of a one. And then also, on this side, they did say to go ahead and tack all the way down and tack the edge of the ruffles down to obviously the last one. So I did that, and I think that's just to keep the ruffles from flipping up underneath your dress. But anyway, I can see so many cute things on an overlay like this, and you could change it out every time that you went to do a different function. You could have something else. Oh, you could do satin, or if you did do it out of satin or polyester, you could actually use a hot knife to cut the ruffles, and then that way you wouldn't have to hem them, or you wouldn't have to worry about the top of the edge fraying or trimming them or anything like that. It would go really fast. Anyway, so there you go. There's the overlay. Now I'm going to put the boning actually into the bustle part, and I'll take this off so you can